Hi, I'm Lisa, and you're now at lesson 1 of what will be a series of tutorials that I've designed specifically from my expertise, having been in the same position as you, but now working for the federal government. I'm sharing with you my tips, tricks that made me successful and others with getting my foot in the door of the federal government. I'm going to be using tips from the past and knowledge from the present in order to give you the edge that you need to get beyond referral, but to sit in that chair and have an interview. So stay with me. Hit like, subscribe, and turn that notification bell on because you're not going to want to miss one. And how am I going to help you if you're not here? Now, I'm not here as a representative of the federal government. I'm here as a representative for you. That's right, for you. I used to be exactly where you are, looking to get into the federal government, but didn't know how. Not only did I not know how, the people that I was serving didn't know how. Veterans, disabled veterans, civilians, students, none of them knew how to get into the federal government. So I dug my heels in as a local Veterans Employment Representative and learned how to do it. And I saw success, 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 success all around me, so much so that a bell went off and I said, you better get that success for yourself too, girl. And I did. I then became a representative for me, and I'm in. And now that I'm in, with 10 years of experience, I know how to pull together the information from the past and from the present and share it with you. That's why you need to give me your time and attention. That's why you need to give me that like, that subscribe, and most definitely give me. And now I know I'm going to go into a lot more detail than you thought you need, but you do. Trust me. Back in 2016 is when they initiated Usajobs. They did it to start it was a one-stop shop type of trend going on there. The Navy had their own site. The Army had their own site. The Air Force had their own site. Everyone had their own site in terms of how to acquire applicants for the various departments of defense. Well, One Stop Shop brought everyone in together and said, hey, we're going to use this one shop. Well, of course, they got what you would expect, resistance, because they thought that way that they were doing it was the best way. But in all actuality, it splintered the multitude of people that could be applying for jobs throughout the federal government. But nonetheless, it took until like 2018 to tighten up and say, look, we need the federal government to represent more of its citizens, persons that are disabled, persons of color. We need to diversify the federal government. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to simplify. So using the Usajobs website was to simplify and provide a resource for a multitude of people. And then there was crickets, because the other agencies continue to use their respective websites. So they pulled them all together and began to have, let's say, campaigns in order to say, look, we're going to start using this. This is what the mandate's going to be, and rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. I had the good fortune at that time because I worked for the state. And working with the state for the Department of Labor, I was able to glean on the information that was received in those workshops, those rallies, in order to get the respective HR managers in and have the buy-in to the Usajobs. So after sitting in on that workshop, I then used parts of that workshop in order to support the veterans, the civilians, the disabled with whom I worked with at the Department of Labor. And it didn't take long, as I said, for a bell to go off, and then I applied those same skills to myself. So what I'm going to be doing is reflecting on the past in terms of the workshops that I gave then, and then on my championing myself into the federal government, and then now being in the federal government. So in doing so, it validates all the tips and tricks and hacks and detail that I'm highly encouraging you to do. Because remember, I'm not a representative of the federal government, I'm representing you. I'm representing what was sought, which was to diversify the federal government so that it looks like the multitude of people that we have in our wonderful country. Now, if you don't know already, I'm a veteran, and I love being a veteran. I'm also a disabled veteran. While that is nothing at all that I do love, I'm taking this opportunity to share with you also insights that I learned in the military. And that is, the government knows everything about you. It doesn't really matter if you give your Social Security or not in your application process, because the government already has it. In some way, that Social Security number is tied to everything. It was tied to my driver's license when I went to get a fishing license. It's tied to your medical records. It's tied to your counseling records. It's tied to your credit. Your Social Security number is what you will keep until the day you die. From the day you are born until the day you die. Here is a military tip. If the military can strike a terrorist in another country from the United States, what makes you think that they don't have the capabilities of finding out where you worked 10 years ago and you were terminated, and for what reason? Take a minute, think about it. If we have the resources to listen in on a phone of a high-ranking government employee of another country, what makes you think that they don't know that you had an addiction? Think about it. Of course they do. So when you want to work for the federal government, you must be prepared to be stripped naked. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go through a strip search. That's certainly not what's going to happen to you. At least it's not what happened to me. No, that's not what's going to happen to you. But everything about you is going to get stripped naked. And you're going to feel just as vulnerable as if you were standing there butt naked. But you're not. You're sitting there in a chair across from what might be an FBI agent who is going to ask you about the details that you left off. So that's why I'm starting with this particular video, because it's a wake-up call for who you want to work with. You want to work with the country that keeps you safe. You want to work with the entity for whom all of your tax-paying dollars go to. You want to work with one of the greatest nations in the world. What do you think they will do to make sure you are the right candidate? Do you think they'll just say, let me call 3 of your references? No. They're not just going to call 3 of your references. So in order for you to work for the federal government, you have to be someone that you want to work for the federal government. And that comes in with the people that you elect. That comes in with the people that you pay your taxes to. That comes through the initiatives that you'd vote for. Well, you're saying, hey, vote for me. I want to work for you. So with that being said, everything matters. And it starts with character. Who am I as a person? And characters, which are the digits that you're going to type in. And everything is free game for the federal government to look into. And you're going to say, which people have said, why do they care about that? And I'm going to talk to you about why they care about that. And then the light's going to come on to you and say, that makes sense. So this tutorial will go from the very beginning, which is where we're at right now, to the very end, which is you actually putting in an application. And when you stay with me, it'll all make sense, it'll all be validated, and it will most assuredly get you more referrals and more opportunities to say yes. And a constant theme that I'm going to be repeating over and over is, you don't say no until they say no. Now that might sound twisted, but I assure you it's not. Until you receive a call or until you receive an interview, which is beyond the referral, there is nothing for you to say no to. So you are going to say yes to everything, and you're going to strip yourself naked, and you're going to put all the information in that I'm going to tell you is critical, even when they may say it's not. Because let me assure you, as they say in the Navy, loose lips sink ships. So it's about what you say and what you don't say that makes the difference. Now that's how deep we're going to go. And that's why I like to say, get your boots on, because it's going to get deep. But stay with me. Again, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on that notification bell, because you're not going to want to miss one. And I'm going to be here for you. So I got to know you're going to be here for me. I'll see you then. Thank you.